um, Welcome to my next session. Okay, so in this session we are going to talk about the cardiac cycle, or the pulmonary cardiac system cycle of blood flow. So in the pulmonary cardiac system cycle of blood flow, the first we start from the deoxygenated blood from the system circuits, which is absorbed by capillaries through veins. So the body contains veins. It's not a complete body, but you can see the image. They are showing the capillary beds of all body tissue where gas exchange occurs. So as you can see, the key they're showing, the red is oxygen rich, CO2 poor blood. Oxygen rich means there will be no CO2. In oxygen poor means CO2 is high. So the red coloring rays shows that this contains oxygen blood, and this contain high carbon dioxide amount. So the systemic circuit of the body under process can create, the cell creates CO2 as waste. So the exchange of gases inside the cell, the veins carry the deoxygenated blood from the cell into the capillary beds. So capillaries are like tiny veins or arteries, you can say. Capillaries are both in shape or size. So the capillaries carries the deoxygenated blood inside the veins, and this vein is going inside the heart. As you can see the arrow, this deoxygenated carbon dioxide high blood is going inside the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. You can see the superior vena cava, this is the superior vena cava, and this is the inferior vena cava. So the both side can have the deoxygenated blood pumping is done by the right atrium. So by the superior and the inferior vena cava, both the pathways, the deoxygenated blood enters the right atrium. If you want to be more specific, the venae and cavae enters into the right atrium, and after the right atrium, you can see the arrow, it goes through the tricuspid valve. You can if I expand this part contain a tricuspid valve, and through the tricuspid valve it enters the right ventricle, and the decircuiting of muscle can cause the from the right ventricle deoxygenated blood enters the pulmonary artery, and this is pulmonary valve. This is pulmonary valve. This is, you can see, this is pulmonary valve. So the deoxygenated blood from the right atrium, from the body to the vena cavas, inferior and superior, enters the right atrium and into the right ventricle, and it enters from the valve and it goes to the pulmonary artery. So this pulmonary artery, it goes to the lungs capillaries, where as you can see this portion of the flow of deoxygenated blood up towards the up, so it is against gravity. So that's why the process of right ventricle is occurs to push the deoxygenated blood inside, and the valve also have a property of, it's like a moon crescent shape. Okay, so the blood will not come down because of the property of valve. So valve, what is the use of valve? It stops the it only has one direction of blood flow. The opposite direction, it just close. So the blood flows into inside the pulmonary artery one by one, and the valve open, it enters and it closes. That is the systemic, it is the systemic pumping. So the blood enters the pulmonary artery, and from the pulmonary artery it goes to the capillary of lungs, and from the lungs, the inside the lungs, the oxygen diffusion and transportation, diffusion and absorption of oxygen, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is excited as waste and oxygen is absorbed, and by this the purification of blood is occurs in the lungs. So in the pulmonary circuit, the capillaries and beds of lungs where gas exchange is occurred. So from the capillaries inside the lungs, so it goes to the pulmonary veins. So the deoxygenated blood is converted here to, in the both lungs, it is converted here. The heart will be positioned in here. In this image the heart is positioned here, but the location of the heart is in this, between the lungs. So from the position you can see both the pulmonary artery and the pulmonary veins will be situated anterior and posterior of the heart. So from the deoxygenated blood is converted to oxygenated blood by the lungs, and the capillary beds absorbs all the oxygen, and by that the oxygenated blood is supplied into the pulmonary vein, and in the pulmonary vein it enters through the left atrium. We can see this is mitral valve or bicuspid valve, and through the bicuspid valve through it enters to the left ventricle. The left ventricle has more myocardium than the right ventricle for the purpose of systemic circuit. So systemic circuit need more pressure than pulmonary circuit. So the activity of muscle is greater in left ventricle so than right ventricle. So the purified blood from the pulmonary vein enters the left atrium through the mitral valve, bicuspid valve, into the left ventricle, and you can see this portion, this three circle, it is the aorta valve of aorta, and the blood enters the aorta, and you can see the flow. The blood enters the aorta and it goes to the branches and it fills the cells of the body. As you can see, this is the cardiovascular circulation or cardiovascular blood circulation or pathway of blood through the heart. The systemic and the pulmonary circuits groups. So the right side of the heart pumps blood through the pulmonary circuit to the lungs and back to the heart, left side of the heart. So blood flowing through the pulmonary circuit gains oxygen and loses carbon dioxide, indicated by the color change from blue to red. So in the lungs, the pulmonary circuit gains oxygen and it loses carbon dioxide by exhalation, and it changes from blue to red. So inside the pulmonary circuits, the pulmonary circuit gain the oxygen and it loses carbon dioxide, and the blood become pure. So and the left side of the heart pumps blood via systemic circulation. The right pumping of the heart is from the systemic circulation to the pulmonary circulation, and the left is from the pulmonary circulation to the systemic circulation. So the left side of the heart pumps blood from the systemic circulation to the whole body tissues back to the right side of the heart. Blood flows through the systemic circulation, loses oxygen and picks up carbon dioxide from the cells. So we can understand, I hope you guys understand this completely. I'm ending the session. Thank you.